founder. I founded KomponentenKontor, which planned to do something really different than we did now for some accidents. Yeah, what we are now doing is this. We found that the renewal of suitcase wheels is a business case. I hadn't known that before, but I found it out by accident. The story is funny. And that's what we are doing. So if you have broken wheels at your suitcase, come to us, we can help you. We actually consist of two parts. This is KomponentenKontor Berlin GmbH, that's me. And there are cooperators, and those are sheltered workshops for handicapped people, in German Behindertenwerkstätten, and they are now doing the actual work because business grew so fast and so much that I couldn't handle it on my own any longer. And this was a very good choice because those people are excellent craftsmen. They are really good in what they are doing. They are very, very good in finding solutions for specialist problems. And as you know, every suitcase is different, and that's what you need. At present, we have 9 workshops all over Germany, from Hamburg to München and Stuttgart. 2 more are on the way, one in Austria, in Vienna. And we are talking with sheltered workshops in Belgium and in Luxembourg, so we are getting more international. What we are doing, meaning KomponentenKontor, is to bring the idea to the workshops, to do the supplies for them. That's mainly about wheels, obviously, bolts and bearings, Räder, Bolzen und Kugellager. We are doing certain development of parts because it's close to impossible to find the OEM part for every suitcase, so you have to find some generic spare parts which can be used at least at a variety of suitcase. And where we are really bad is public relations, to advertise the idea. We have a really good ranking on the common search engines, but we find that it's really difficult to bring the idea to people. So people, when a wheel is broken, don't throw the suitcase away, but at least think about getting it repaired. When they once catch the thought, then they will find us. So this is looks very impressive. Turnover at last quarters was between 25,000 and 30,000 euros all over the network. And you see the business was hit very hard by Corona. Obviously, no one could travel and destroy his trolley wheels. So this comes from this development comes from Corona, very low. Actually, Corona was the reason why I introduced Tryton in my community, in my company. Business was close to zero, and I couldn't do anything. Advertising didn't make any sense because, well, when the wheels break down, it doesn't make sense to advertise that service. So I started. All I could do was to cut costs. I had an accounting office. I had accounting outsourced to a several office. This became more and more annoying because they wanted to do more and more of the work. And so I decided I should get things in my own hand. For the techies among us, this is how it's actually run. All of my Tryton runs on a now more than 10-year-old 8-core workstation. The server and the client itself, it's launched on demand and that's it. That's all. I don't have more. At present, I'm using 8 different Python virtual environments for testing, experimenting, trying, and so on. Okay, now comes the introduction story. I won't say very much about this, but more ask you to read. Yes, I need to emphasize on that. You need to be really stubborn, in German, stur. And at some point, there was a point of no return. I had invested so much work into it that it would have been crazy to stop. But, and this is one of the very upsides of Tryton, I met so many people who were really committed to Tryton and were willing to help me. The major problem is, and was, to communicate, even if I could in German, because I made the experience that for Tryton people it's very hard to imagine what non-Tryton people don't know. So it's really, really hard to describe the problem in order to get and then it's again very, very hard for Tryton people to make an answer which can be understood by a non-Tryton person. And this is one of the first findings of the process. The Tryton community lacks an intermediate layer of people. So people maybe like me, knowing very little about Tryton, something about computing, and being able to communicate with both sides. So, actually, I can tell you it's not at all easy, it's close to impossible to introduce Tryton. Or let's say it was. Because I quite quickly came to the point, well, it doesn't make sense to make all this experience, then in the end have a working Tryton environment, and all this experience, well, is more or less lost. Okay, I came to success. I have now less than 1/10 of the accounting costs. The rest is government-driven, so cannot be influenced at all. I can more or less say Tryton saved my company because the accounting cost, having no revenues at all, and having the accounting cost could have killed my company. Actually, I got from Tryton much more than expected. I hadn't known about what this package, I was about accounting, and I found there's much more. And I think this may be a very general experience. With starting to introduce such a software, you learn about what can be done as well, and your wishes grow. And the most impressive and charming thing is I made new friends, especially Richard Martin, who needs to be mentioned here separately, but as well Corbinian Preisler, Udo Spalek, and my old friend Hartmut Goebel, whom I met first 25 years ago at the Tango, you won't believe. And now I met him again, which makes me very happy. I said quite something about this already, so I don't have to repeat so much. The major issues is the onboarding process needs to be greatly improved. I don't think this is too difficult. Tryton needs much more user documentation than it actually has. And the user experience can be improved. At certain points, this may be difficult and hard to do. At some points, I'm very much convinced it's really easy. It's just about a label, just to say what does this input actually mean. There are modules where you have date from to at 2 different points, but it doesn't say date period about what. So just a label, this date period means the reference period, and this is the prognosis period, would solve the problem. It would be very easy, but it is not there. And here you find my list of very basic features missing in Tryton. I guess most of you have similar lists. And here comes the next point. I don't think Tryton has a mechanism to find out what's really important and what would improve the user experience at very little effort. So, what we actually did, we wrote das Tryton-Buch, the Tryton-Buch. Most of work did Richard Martin and I, but all the other German fellows contributed significantly to it. I can tell you, first, of course, it's community work in progress. We are continuously working on it. It can be done. Yes, it can be done. Some people are in doubt of that. No, it's wrong. It can be done. You can write a book on Tryton. Of course, it's not at all perfect. It's even far away from perfect. But I can tell you, even a wrong user docu is better than having no user docu, because it can give you an idea of how things have to work. And I think our Tryton book is not wrong in all points it brings up. So I want to encourage. The interesting experience was, okay, we offered it to the foundation, to Tryton.org, and found, well, we are not exactly what you would call welcome. At the end of the day, we published it on our own webpage, Tryton-Buch, which means Deutschland, Austria, Germany, Austria and Switzerland, in German. So here it's available. Feel free to grab from it, mill it through a translator, and get out of it what you can. We are continuing working on it, and Richard and I have very regular and very challenging talks to find out, well, how does this feature work? Although both of us now have some experience, Richard much more than I have, it's always very, very hard work to find out how even basic features work. And when we got to the point that we made some progress, we write it down and publish it in our Tryton book. I really can recommend it. So, I jumped a little too forward. No, not really. Second conclusion, where do I personally think the market for Tryton is? This is from the German Statistic Office on the sizes of German companies. There are around a little more than 3 million of companies. Nearly 3 million companies, 87% are less than 10 employees. And each of them needs accounting. May it be in-house or may it be outsourced, but it needs accounting. So I'm very much convinced the small companies are the market, the really big market for Tryton. I myself, I'm founded my own business, so I looked up the numbers, and you see 500,000 new businesses are founded in Germany. Each of them needs accounting. And none of them, to start with, has accounting. And I think you will agree, it's much easier to introduce a new accounting system into a company than to change from an existing one, at least by the argument of convincing the people in charge. So you must really suffer a lot to change from an existing business software. But when you start, you know, okay, you have to deal with accounting someone. So I think it will really pay to focus on business founders. Just another number which I found interesting. I did a very brief research, and I found that in Germany we have 84 university institutes on entrepreneurship and founding business, Gründerzentren in German. 84 at universities. And I think not each of them will not only accompany one per year. So these should be really interesting partners for Tryton. You find the other reasons why I think newly founded businesses are interesting for Tryton. I think that was it. Yes, that was it. Thank you very much for your attention. Pardon?
Further questions?
Yeah. Are there any questions? Comments?
Or comments?
Blamings?
I have a twisted tongue, so... yeah, thanks for your talk. I have a question, it's not directly about Tryton, I'm not sure. You're a musician who
Yes.
try to integrate the business application in his business. So, and it's hard, I guess. I try to imagine I am a business application integrator, and I try to learn to become a musician. And I'm totally sure it will be the same hard.
Okay, I understand your question. Actually, I quit doing music in 1992, and since then worked as a public transport consultant, and of course, quite some computer works needed to be done. I started on a Mac and changed to Linux in 2010, and since then have as well done some consulting for very basic computing tasks. So I'm far away from being a programmer, a geek, or a nerd, but I think I can tell I have decent experience with computers and with Linux and with the shell and with reading even, fragmentaric or scarce documentation. Yeah, I did not come from the viola da gamba or the double bass, which are the instruments I'm playing, and switched over to try to implement them. There was a long story in between.
Hello, I'm Dominique. I'm happy to know that I'm not alone sweating with Tryton use. And my question is about your personal plan and your role in the community. I'm very interested in working with you. Now, what is your plan? My understanding from your speech is that you've done the job to learn Tryton and to succeed with Tryton. So what next? Is it just a legacy, heritage, donation, or do you have business plans to capitalize on your experience?
Well, thanks for the question. Actually, the most reason for remaining and staying in the community is the people. It's so nice to work together with them to produce stupid and crazy and sometimes maybe even good ideas, to think about what can be done with this project. This is so interesting, challenging, and fulfilling and rewarding that I think I still want to share some time with these people. And from that derived some ideas what can be done with Tryton. First product is the book. The second part is a little collection of very, very weird and very raw and very, well, maybe it's blamed enough, of scripts to make the installation and the maintaining of Tryton a little bit more convenient. So I'm not a programmer at all. So all I could do is copy code lines from the internet and put them in a text file and call it a script. Actually, sometimes it does what it should do, and I think with a little more help from outside, maybe on the long run it will become something reasonable. So my role, I see my role, as I said, in the intermediate position. Here are the geeks, here are the customers, and they don't really understand each other. And so there need to be some people in the middle to explain the one side what the other really needs. That may be something which I could try to do in the next few years.
There's again one question.
It's a small one. So first of all, I was looking for accounting software and then stumbled over the Netzwerk Rollentausch and was looking over to the left to my suitcase, which needs new wheels. So that was a perfect match. But my question is actually quite specific. I was wondering, since you're working with handicapped people, if you have some experience with using Tryton in the context of charitable organizations, because I'm looking for an accounting software for a charitable association, gemeinnütziger Verein, or if not, maybe if other people are here who have some experience with that, be interested in that.
Yeah, I'm not the specialist for this issue, and I would like to forward to you to Hartmut, who is dealing with that and trying a lot. The Netzwerk Rollentausch is not designed to take, let's say, how would you say it, to really get into the business of the sheltered workshops. That's of there. They are good on that, what they are doing, and I won't tell them how they should do. And of course, they have their own software environments. Sometimes when they tell me, oh, my business software is telling me crazy, is driving me crazy, which of course every business software does regularly, I tell them, well, there's something like Tryton, and if you're interested, I can tell you more, but this till now didn't lead to anything. But we are working on, with Hartmut and with Richard, we are working on the issue software for gemeinnützige Vereine. Yeah, that's on the way.
Okay. Yes. Maybe last question.
I'm Stefan from Tryton Cloud. Perhaps you have heard of it.
Yes.
We started 10 years ago with a SaaS solution, and we were at the same point as you are at the moment. Because Tryton was or is quite complicated, and we thought that it's no way for a normal person to set it up. We started with a SaaS solution, and we found out that these small companies don't buy Tryton. They won't use it because, I don't know, in a way it's not nice to use, they don't love it, they didn't want to work with it. We had a a solution which was free, and even then they didn't use it. And now we got the impression that the power of Tryton is not for this huge amount of small companies, but it's for larger companies, because they have special needs, and Tryton's main focus, the main idea is to deliver specific solutions for specific needs.
Mm.
And today we make the money with the bigger companies and not with the small ones. If we would like, if we wanted to catch the small ones, then we would have to make it for free with a huge SaaS solution to get all these people. It's very strange. Actually, Tryton is open. Tryton.cloud is open for everybody in the Dach region, and we are delivering all the functions we needed for smaller companies, but they don't come. Also, it's quite cheap.
I think actually there are very many reasons which can be listed why this is the case. And I think some maybe are really hard to repair, but very many are very easy to repair. I'm very certain about that. So this is an ongoing discussion, and it's really difficult. We don't know for sure. Therefore, I declared it as my theory or my thesis on that. And of course, other opinions are as always possible.
Okay, thank you, Wolf.
Wolf, yeah.
Right? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So it's time for a small break of